Hey everybody, it's Reckless. So, I actually did two videos prior to this one. The last video I did kept cutting in and out after I posted it on Facebook, and I have no idea why it did that. But the video I did prior to that about the Crota's End raid was just the Crota fight itself. And I felt like that wasn't good enough, and I should actually show you guys more of what I actually use. So if you guys already watched the video prior to this, and you've seen the version that the sound was cut out, I apologize. But if you haven't seen this and this is your first time, well, welcome. So the first thing we're gonna do is go over my gear. Now, as you can tell, this is my Warlock. He's a level 32, and he is outfitted with the Obsidian Mind. And for the helmet, I'm gonna take a look at that real quick. And then the last three are just the last three are upgrade defense. I am completed with full raid gear, and this is Crota's End raid gear. And class item doesn't really matter for this because it doesn't give you any stats or anything like that, or at least they don't now. Whether they will in the future, don't know. So as for complete stats, as you can see, I'm level 32. Defense of 1626. I have a intellect of 246, which gives me a 90% increase in the cooldown of my Nova Bomb. Then I have my discipline at 240, which gives me an 88% increase on the cooldown of my grenades. And then I have a 66 strength, which is only given to me by Obsidian Mind, because I really don't melee that much. And it only gives me a 24% increase in my melee. Now, for my subclass, for the Voidwalker, it's actually changed since the last one I've actually used. The subclass itself, pretty much, I was told to try out a couple of different things and see how I liked them. And I was like, okay, cool. I have no problem with that. And so, a friend of mine actually gave me a similar build to this. And so I decided to try it out and see how it worked, and I actually like it. I actually use Axiom Bolt, Blink, Shatter, Lifesteal, Arcane Force, Annihilate, Ancestral Order, and Bloom. Now, I obviously like Axiom Bolt because of the fact of it tracks, even though the tracking is pretty slow. Whereas Annihilate makes the explosion bigger, but it also makes the tracking bubble a lot a lot bigger also. So that's obviously a plus. Now for your jump, I know a lot of people don't like Blink. Personally, I don't like Blink on my Hunter, just because it takes your visibility away, which I really don't like that a lot. But for my Voidwalker, I love Blink. I don't like the glides at all. I stick with Blink 100% hands down, just with the Voidwalker. I obviously can't do it with the Sunsinger. For the Nova Bomb, I actually went with Shatter. My friend told me to try Lance. I've tried Lance. I do not like it. The reason why I don't like it is because a couple times I was in the Crota's End raid and I was doing it on hard mode. And we got the knights down to a certain percentage of their health. I went to go use Lance, and as soon as I released it, the knight moved, and it did not get contact with the knight at all. So it was a 100% totally waste of a Nova Bomb. Now I understand Vortex works pretty good, but I like Vortex better in PvP. That's just me. So I feel Lance with Annihilate. Shatter with Annihilate is a lot better, but that's me, personal preference. Now, during the whole raid, both normal and hard mode doesn't really matter for your health until you get to Crota, except for normal. Normal, you don't have to worry about anything except for just, if you're running low on health, get the chalice. But on hard mode, lifesteal is 100% needed for a Voidwalker Warlock. Lifesteal pretty much says kill an enemy with energy drain immediately restores a significant portion of your health, and that is 100% true. It is awesome. Lifesteal, Shatter, and your Axiom Bolt in conjunction with Bloom makes all your moves like tremendously good. Bloom says kill enemies killed by any of your abilities explode. Your abilities are exactly what I just mentioned. And as for stats, it pretty much is a balanced out stats between armor, recovery, and agility. So it's pretty nice. As for weapons, we're going to start with the Abyss. Now, what I use, depending on whoever's in my group, I usually do the raid with my clan. However, our clan just like upped in size dramatically. So a lot of people do the raid different ways, but we all agree on one way when we actually are in there doing it. So sometimes I will go with the Fatebringer, which I like a lot. And I'm gonna go through the perks real quick. I used Steady Hand IS, Firefly, Explosive Rounds, Outlaw, and then the rest are just damage upgrades. Now, what a lot of people still don't know, is this weapon has 2 types of damages on it. And I'll explain that in a second. Now, as you can see, it has 300 attack, and that does arc damage, okay? But Firefly itself reads, precision kills with this weapon cause the target to explode. Now, that explosion from Firefly does solar damage. 100%. It does solar damage. So this weapon technically has 2 different types of damages on it. But again, you still will need to do that precision kill in order to get that explosive damage actually down range. Now, explosive rounds helps out a lot doing more damage, but I am not entirely sure if this does solar damage also. But I do know that Firefly does, which makes this gun tremendously good. Next, I also use the Word of Crota. And I also use Steady Hand IS, Zen Moment, Explosive Rounds, Phantom Gift, and then the rest is all damage upgrades. For the majority of my weapons for primary, I think stability is a very keen factor in it. Especially with the hand cannon, you definitely need stability in order to keep rounds on target. Granted, I understand Hammer Forge would be pretty good. That way you keep the same amount of damage going down range at a certain distance. But I actually prefer explosive rounds because you can still do a lot of damage with explosive rounds and the range that it's at right now. I want to say the last gun I actually use for this is the Bad Juju. The Bad Juju and Obsidian Mine combo is phenomenal. Nothing bad could be said about it. Pretty much the combo goes in conjunction with String of Curses, which says after each kill, this weapon will reload instantly and increase damage for a short time. But also, kills with this kills will help charge your super. So as soon as you get a kill with this weapon, it will help your super energy go up a lot faster. And given that I already have my intellect at 90%, for the with the effect for help the cooldown go faster, that makes the Bad Juju and Obsidian Mine combo for the Abyss like tremendously good. So I prefer those 3 weapons while doing the Abyss for primaries. As for secondaries, I would use Swordbreaker, and for Swordbreaker I use Smooth Ballistics, Hammer Forged, Final Round, also with Grenadier, and the rest of all damage upgrades. Now for shotguns, what I did with this is I maxed out the stability and the range on this weapon. And the reason I did that is because on the last update for weapons, shotguns actually got a nerf for the range, and it actually hurt them a lot. But I maxed out the range and the stability on this weapon perfectly fine, so shouldn't have that much problems. Now, the other shotgun I use is the Found Verdict. And the reason why I use the Found Verdict is because the impact. That plus you can also fire this gun in auto fire. Now, I'm not sure if I should have maxed out the stability over the range on this. So what I did was I actually went to send it and increase the range and accuracy over stability. But again, going back to the range on shotguns were taken down tremendously. So that's why I, upped the range on it versus the stability. And as you can see, the ballistics on these, all they do is take down your stability. So I obviously didn't choose any of those. Now, as for the heavy weapons for the Abyss, I use either the Hunger of Crota. I'm gonna switch to that real quick. I use either Hunger Crota and I use Soft Launch with heavy payload, and obviously the passive abilities. Makes it, obviously a better. I do not need linear compensator or aggressive launch just because, again, makes the stability go down, and they really don't do much for me. Or I use the Yellowhorn, and for the Yellowhorn I use soft launch, tracking, speed reload, wolfpack rounds, and the rest are just damage upgrades. I don't feel snapshot is needed, and the same concept with quick draw. I understand quick draw, you draw your weapon faster, and snapshot you aim your weapon faster, but I would rather reload faster with this weapon to get it back in the fight, to shoot another 2 rounds. However, I do not use heavy weapons in the Abyss very much, just because I don't want the rocket to blow up in my face. Now, the only time I actually will use it is when I'm either ahead while we're doing the lamps, or I'm in the back. That way, it's safe to shoot a rocket. I don't have to worry about a thrall coming up on the side of me and actually getting shot and end up killing me also. So that's what I actually use for the Abyss. Now, a few things actually change in the bridge. Now, as for gear, my gear stays the same. My subclass stays the same. For the gear, I would actually use either the Word of Crota, the Fatebringer, or I will use the Fang of Iryut. Now, for the Fang, I actually use Red Dot ORS, Spray and Play. That's a damage upgrade. Field Scout, Third Eye, which is a passive, and the rest are all damage upgrades, including High Disruptor. Now, the reason why I use Red Dot ORS, because I actually like the sight, but it doesn't do any reduce in range or stability. I could go for a True Sight IS. True Sight IS, but I don't like the fact that it takes away range, and then gives you takes away range and stability and gives you reload speed, which I really don't feel that to be good. I could use Focus Lens FLA, and we're gonna put that on right now, but I actually don't like the way it looks. I understand cosmetics isn't a thing you should be worrying about here, but for this weapon specifically, I actually like the Red Dot ORS better. I guess I could try out the Focus Lens FLA 5, but I don't know. We'll see how well that works for me. Now, I actually use Spray and Play over Target Mark just because I don't like Target Mark at all. If you can see an enemy and you're shooting, you don't need to mark them. And you don't need to mark them for other people to see them. Unless you're in an extremely dark area where it's like really hard to see, Target Mark I feel is useless. So I actually would rather go Spray and Play, which increases the reload speed of this weapon when its mag is empty. That's just me. So that's what I do for primary. For secondary, I either use the Black Hammer, and for the Black Hammer I have Ambush SLH 25, White Nail, Perfect Balance, Mulligan, and the rest are damage upgrades. Whether they're going to put Hive Disruptor back on this, I don't know. I think they should. But then again, I don't think they'll do that until maybe the next patch comes out for House of Wolves. That way, not a lot of people are actually using Black Hammer against Crota a lot, because it will take Crota down. And if nobody's reloading, you can take Crota down with just Black Hammers. Taking away from the stability and reload speed, just to give this range, I don't see needed. And for the second set of perks, I actually use Perfect Balance over Flared Magwell and Snapshot, just because I don't need to worry about aiming fast when I'm using this, and also Flared Magwell reloads his weapon faster. If you're actually getting off White Nail, which says rapidly landing 3 precision shots will refill the magazine, you will not need Flared Magwell at all. Just because when White Nail actually gets its effect off, it automatically reloads those 3 shots that you just shot over again. So it's like putting the rounds that you just shot right back in your magazine, so it doesn't take away from the rest of the magazine. Makes sense. That's what I use. And if I'm not using this, then I am using the Icebreaker. And for the Icebreaker, I use Linear Compensator, Mulligan, Snapshot, Icebreaker, and the rest are all damage upgrades. Now there is something online that breaks down the Icebreaker like tremendously, from stats to percentages to a whole bunch of stuff. And if I can find that, I'll put it in the description below. I'm actually gonna look for it right after this video is done. But from what I've read, I felt that the Linear Compensator was the best thing to actually have on the Icebreaker over Field Choke and Accurized Ballistics. I understand none of these change the stats at all, but the internal mechanism of this weapon makes Linear Compensator the best one to choose. Like I said, I'll look for that link and I'll put it down in the below, or at least this is what I feel for me. Linear Compensator is better. So that's what I use for secondaries. Now for heavies, I will use the Word of Crota if I'm using the Icebreaker, or I will use the Yalahorn if I'm using the Black Hammer. So that is the entire bridge encounter. When we progress towards the Death Singer, I will use either the Word of Crota or the Fatebringer, depending on what the rest of my clan is using, or if I'm running toward get that chest or not. But at the end, I will use the Swordbreaker over the Found Verdict, but I will always use Yalahorn as my heavy. Most of the time, I actually do running to get that chest. But if I don't, I'll sit back and I'll start Yalahorning both of the Shriekers that are in that hallway. And so going towards the Death Singer, we'll start with the primary. For the primary, and actually going towards the Death Singer, getting the Death Singer down, I will use Abyss Defiant. And for Abyss Defiant, I will use Red Dot ORS, Focus Fire, Perfect Balance, Lich Bane, and the rest are all damage upgrades besides Hive Disruptor. Reason being is I want the most stability and range going towards that wizard that comes out on both sides. And using this with Focus Fire makes the damage on that wizard come tremendously faster. That way you can kill them and then get inside that room on both sides and kill those Shriekers. In order for that, I definitely like Perfect Balance. That way when I am shooting, each and every round is hitting that wizard or those knights that are coupled at the doors. I really don't like lightweight. Doesn't really help me out much in single point sling. Obviously, you can see how much single point sling and lightweight take away on the stability of this weapon. So I figured, why not have it like a Soros regime that has solar damage going down range. It's perfect for me, or at least that's what I think so. That is for the primaries. For the secondaries, I will use Black Hammer. Actually, for the secondary and the heavy, I will use Black Hammer and Yellowhorn, or Icebreaker and and Hunger of Crota. It all depends on what what the clan's doing and how fast we want to get it done. If we want to get it done fast, then I probably will use the Black Hammer and Yellowhorn together in order to get that the Wizards down, then the Shriekers, and then the Death Singer. And if your whole entire team has the Yellowhorn on, the Death Singer will go down within at least 5 to 8 seconds if everyone shoots and everyone's still alive. If not, it's going to take a little bit longer. Now, as for Crota himself, I will use one of two weapons. I understand that the Fatebringer is nice, but I feel that the Fatebringer is best for the Abyss. But not the Crota fight itself. So for the Crota fight itself, now I would use either the Word of Crota or the Fang of Ariut. I would start off with the Word of Crota in the primary, just for the beginning fights, getting out that center room from the crystal, and then depending on whether we're doing normal or hard mode, I will switch to the Fang of Ariut on hard mode. Just because it has more rounds that I could put down range. Now, also, if one of my teammates die, then the Fang of Ariut is going to be best because you put more down range, more rounds down range while shooting that Oversoul that needs to go down. You don't need to be reloading a weapon when there's an Oversoul up. If somebody dies, you either have one or two choices. You take the Oversoul down or you wipe. A lot of the time, my clan doesn't like wiping. So we will take the Oversoul down and we will do it 5-man. If it goes down again, we will do Crota hard mode on 4-man. You know. But we'll do what we can. If not, we'll wipe. But it also depends on who goes down. If the Sword Bearer goes down, if somebody else can pick up that sword, then that's fine. We'll continue. But we will not do it any more than 3 people. At least when we're doing it in a group. I understand the people out there who have soloed Crota, but they've soloed Crota on easy. I have yet to see a solo Crota on hard. But anyways, so that's what I would use for the primaries. Either Word of Crota on normal or hard. Or I would use the Fang of Ariut on Crota as soon as we get out the room. So that's the primary, and the secondary and the heavy. Secondary and the heavy are just like the last. If I'm using Black Hammer, I will use Yellowhorn, or if I'm using the Icebreaker, I will use Hunger of Crota. So that's the entire raid. What I would use in the. I'm sorry. That's what I would use in the Crota's End raid, hard and normal modes. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Whether you liked it, whether you disliked it, whether you feel that something else should be changed, and I'll see what I could do to actually accommodate that. I'll try different things out if you guys want me to. So yeah, that's everything. Let me know what you guys think about the video. Like, comment, and subscribe. And also follow me on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. But also, help get me out there. If you got friends and family that actually like playing this game, I would greatly appreciate their support also. If you guys have any ideas for videos, let me know in the discussion and just send me a message on YouTube, and I'll do what I can to accommodate you guys' requests. So there's Reckless. I'll see you.